Twitter employees using own toilet paper after Elon Musk cuts janitors. Twitter employees are bringing their own toilet paper to work as Elon Musk keeps, quote, cutting costs like crazy. Twitter HQ staff using their own toilet paper after Elon Musk fires janitors. Guys, I'm not making this stuff up. It is a little crap show over at Twitter. We are talking about toilet paper, and if you didn't know, working hardcore for Elon Musk means BYOTP. That means bring your own toilet paper. These are the crazy headlines. Twitter employees have been bringing their own toilet paper to the office after janitorial services were cut. It is a horrible situation, and I feel sorry for the employees, but unfortunately, there was actually some people who couldn't quit. As you guys know, we've talked about it. Most of the Americans quit. Many of the people that are still at Twitter, basically ones that their visas are tied to, having a job in the USA. So until they can find another job, they basically have to stay if they want to stay in the country. And I mention this is because sometimes people say, who's still left? And it's basically people who can't quit. And this is a tough situation for people because there was another issue is going on as well. Twitter, I guess, is not paying the rent. Twitter sued for not paying San Francisco office rent. And the basic gist of it is that Elon Musk and the team owe a bunch of rent. They're not paying. And I guess the reports have been saying that they're trying to negotiate a new contract or something like that. From the landlord's point of view, you have a contract, you're the tenant, pay the rent, right? And from Twitter's point of view, they're like, well, we don't have a lot of money. Can we get lower rent? can we work with you? And they're gonna try to settle this in court. Evidently, though, I guess Twitter's financials aren't great. There was a Twitter space, and Elon was mentioning that maybe in 2023 they're looking at a $3 billion negative cash flow. So that's not great. And if you guys remember too, as well, Twitter has a bunch of debt. And essentially, they got to pay like $1 billion just in interest on their debt. So that negative cash flow, a large portion of that is the debt that they took on to make this deal happen. And the other thing that I want to share with you guys as well is some of the details going on inside of Twitter, especially for those of you who are interested in business or just interested in being entertained. These stories are actually quite astounding. For example, they had employees working on Christmas Eve, and we'll read the details together. You got to hear it for yourself. What's gone at Twitter? A data center, janitors, and some toilet paper. And as you'll see, he had people working on Christmas Eve. Elon Musk's orders were clear. Close the data center. Early on Christmas Eve, members of the billionaire's staff flew to Sacramento, the site of one of Twitter's 3 main computer storage facilities, to disconnect servers that had kept the social network running smoothly. Some employees were worried that losing those services could cause problems, but saving money was the priority, according to 2 people who were familiar with the move but not authorized to talk about it. So we talked about a few days ago that there was an outage over at Twitter, and Elon Musk was tweeting, well, it works fine for me, but there was a lot of experience and losses. I think it was like in multiple countries. I can't remember exactly which ones, but we had talked about it before. And evidently, as it turned out, on Christmas Eve, they were at work closing some of their data centers. So you're talking about a couple things at Twitter. You're talking about whether or not the company's still running. Is the software functioning without any bugs? Are the people there to fix said software? And then also to have the physical locations, say data centers, and also other staff to say fix said data center. So you're talking about both hardware, software, and people issues. But if you want to cut costs, yes, close your data centers. But I'll be curious how the Twitter fanboys and fangirls will defend this. It seems bad to me, but let's keep going on, and we'll take a look at some more details. That has left the office in disarray, with people packed into more confined spaces. The smell of leftover takeout food and body odor has lingered on the floors, according to 4 current and former employees. Bathrooms have grown dirty, these people said, and because janitorial services have largely been ended, some workers have resorted to bringing their own rolls of toilet paper from home. Mr. Musk's erratic and hands-on style has thrown off a number of workers, as he often interrupts meetings, seemingly at random, talking for long stretches, and asking some top leaders to be sounding boards for his ideas. 2 people familiar with the matter, management at Twitter said. There's also been reports as well as, I guess if you want to go talk to Elon, you may go up to his office and you have to sit outside for like an hour. and then you go into the office and Elon's just looking at YouTube. That is literally the reports coming out. So it's like, okay, this is great. You know, I have to wait on you, and then till you finally have time to talk to me, and then you're just like ignoring me. And the other one was there was a report that they were saying that you're not supposed to talk to Elon unless Elon talks to you first. It's a true story. This is the reports coming out. Let's take a look at some more details as well. Mr. Davis has directed Twitter employees to delay paying various contractors or vendors and try to negotiate those bills to smaller amounts, according to two people familiar with his instructions. The cost of one of the company's largest contracts with the consulting mega firm Deloitte has been a point of particular concern for Twitter's leadership, which wants to reduce the fees the company pays for security, tax preparation, and other services. The company has skipped payments to KPMG, an accounting consulting firm that has been working on matters related to compliance with the Federal Trade Commission, they said. So, it's kind of messed up if they don't even want to pay their bills to Deloitte or KPMG. Yes, I understand that they want to renegotiate, but you're not paying your rent. You're sort of not paying your vendors. Also, too, there was another report recently as you're not paying for your chartered flights. It's hard to spin this as a positive thing. And I'd love to hear the Twitter fanboys and fangirls tell me how these things are good signs. It's really hard to come up with positive ways to spin this stuff. And the other one as well is I guess because someone asked me this before. Who's doing all the firing, who's running the company. So there's a report that there was Mr. Steve Davis came over from the Boring Company, and then Jared Burchell came over from the family's office. So essentially, Musk is bringing in his own people to come in and fire people, basically. And then they've instructed Twitter managers, and the quote is zero-based budgeting, which basically means that you're under the assumption that we're not going to raise your budget, and I basically have no budget, zero-based budgeting. The way they say it is operating under the assumption that spending should start at nothing, and teams should justify individual costs. So it must be really tough to work over there at Twitter, and I'm sure you guys get the whole gist of this thing is that basically a lot of the advertisers have left Twitter, as you guys know, and so there's less revenue coming in, right? Also, too, you got to cut costs because even before Elon Musk came, to be fair, it was a losing operation. It wasn't like a great company to take over. The other issue as well is we're dealing with an economic environment which is in a downtrend. So it's not just Twitter alone, right? It is YouTube, Facebook, Netflix. Many companies are struggling with ad revenue, and I mentioned Netflix is because these days, right? So in the past, Netflix didn't say do ads, but now they do. Even something like a Disney Plus does ads. So now there's even increasingly more competition for these kind of platforms to get ad money. Meaning that, let's say I'm, for example, Coca-Cola, and I could advertise on Netflix, Disney Plus, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, right? And I'm looking around the environment. I'm like, you know what? I'll go with Netflix and maybe Disney, and I like YouTube. But why would I want to advertise on, say, Facebook or Twitter? Why bother, right? I already have these other outlets to go for. And part of these sort of companies, for those guys who who are new to this kind of stuff, new to business, is remember, a social media company, your product is your users, right? So you have to have these users, and then you take that user data and you sell it to companies. You say, okay, these are my users, and you can advertise to them. And the issue becomes, I hope you guys understand this, is that if you have a whole bunch of said users that say, free speech, free speech, free speech, and they start putting on this not safe for work kind of stuff, right? And yes, you can argue free speech, but I just want to be real. Some stuff is just not great to show at work. Any number of things, people taking off their clothes and people saying stuff that's inappropriate, this kind of stuff. And you can, decide whatever that is. But, some advertisers are like, you know what? I don't necessarily want to advertise on a kind of platform that just has, free, no holds barred anything. I want to be on something that's a little bit more controlled. And you guys know I do YouTube every single day. And when I upload things to YouTube, I have to be very careful. I try not to say bad words because YouTube doesn't like that. I try not to show obscene pictures because YouTube doesn't like that, and et cetera. And so it is no wonder to me that advertisers want to be with a platform that's a little bit more stable, more safe. And you're not just talking about content moderation. You're also talking about, is the platform even stable when they're closing data centers, not paying the rent, and not paying their contracts? So that is the deal going on at Twitter. Sorry, I'm a little bit late on this update. Enjoying the holiday, and unfortunately, people over at Twitter are not enjoying the holiday as they're having to bring toilet paper to work. So love to hear your thoughts on this one. And what do you think? Would you stick at Twitter? Were you willing to work hardcore for Elon Musk, or would you you know what? Toilet paper is where I draw the line. Time to go. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next video.